Alrighty. Working. Alrighty. Yep, sounds fine. Alright, you guys know the drill. Give it a few minutes here, and then we'll get started on Bitcoin. You know, peek at Ethereum. Maybe we can peek at some of the high caps here. And then we'll look at my slew of low caps that I've been eyeing the last 3 or 4 weeks. And then hopefully we'll get out of here in under an hour. And sorry if you hear my my chair's been squeaking a lot lately. I need to oil it up or something. But hopefully it doesn't come through on the mic. Let's start peeping the top down. Okay. Monthly still looks alright. Weekly looks kind of bearish. Bearish to neutral. If we hold the 8 EMA on the weekly, I think things are looking okay. But any lower than that, we got a pretty big potential gap. Momentum starting to fall. Cycles coming down. I think the daily still looks okay. Only really if we hold right in here, though. My computer's kind of slow today. My goodness. What's up, Don? What's up, Plaza? Doing good. How you guys doing? Enjoying the warm weather here. We had like 3 months of winter, and now it's pretty much back to spring weather. Feels good, man. We do a little jet skiing soon, potentially. Potentially. Ugh. This price action the last few days has been gross. Like, ugh. Just stop run after stop run after stop run, stop run, stop run over and over. My goodness. Alrighty. What's good, mama? Thanks for tuning in, homies. I think we will go ahead and get started here. And then anyone who comes in after, I mean, you know me, I'll end up repeating the same stuff a few times. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin, guys. We'll do the top down, and then we can look at some centralized exchange high caps, and then we'll look at some of the low caps I've been eyeing. So on the monthly, I wonder if it's worth it starting to look at quarterly charts. We do have some cycle stuff there. Okay. So I guess we'll start trying to throw the quarterly in here. Same thesis for the quarterly, as the monthly, as the weekly, as the daily, as all time frames, okay? We want to be trending above the 8 EMA. We would like to be trading in the direction of our cycle and momentum. And right now, momentum is still falling. Cycle is still coming down, getting kind of low, similar to previous cycle bottoms, but still coming down, and we're still trending below the 8 EMA. That being said, we do have a nice bullish engulfing candle here, so that's a good sign that we're potentially bottoming, and we'll have similar signs on the monthly. But all in all, I would say that this is neutral to bearish. Okay, but keep in mind, the quarterly is going to be very lagging. Often on the quarterly, but by the time you realize something looks good, you've got a candle like this. So, take it with a grain of salt, but quarterly is definitely neutral to bearish. Ord cashing a bid today. I know, dude. I almost got out of bed last night to bid some at like 2,800 or whatever it was at the low. It was right at literally right at the low. And I was gonna buy some more, but I don't know. I've been going pretty DJ in the low caps the last few weeks. I'm just feeling like I gotta lax. Like, my size is okay. I always feel like I'm so confident in my own ideas of where these things are headed that I just oversize. And it's such a big flaw that I have, so I'm really trying to monitor that. But of course, right? When you monitor it, it's the low, whatever. But yeah, nice bid. Nice breakout. These guys are just deving. They're taking it slow, and they're not worried about overhyping themselves. They're just doing what they planned on doing, as far as we can tell, right? But I digress. Looking at the monthly for BTC, it's really just typical chop after a move like this, right? Everyone's chasing the volatility from January. This is a great representation of how it looks on lower time frames right now, right? Just up, down, up, down, up, down, chop, chop, chop. And now we're starting to lose the monthly 8 EMA just a little bit, but we've got 26 days until that closes, so nothing to really be too concerned about. Monthly cycle's coming up, but it doesn't really say that much. Momentum is still coming up, I believe, but it's also trending below zero. And as pointed out on previous streams, if we're going to get a full-blown bull market again, the bulk of it, the meat of it, is going to be when the CCI is trending above the zero line, right? These periods are still kind of bear market territory. Quite similar. I would say this looks quite similar to price action right around here. I know a lot of people would like to think, we're here or already here, but I think potentially we're even still just back here. This was kind of the big monthly range, and it really feels like we might still just be in something like that. And the real breakout starts when the 8 EMA on the monthly gets back above all the other bands, right? And for that to happen, the 8 EMA needs to get above 28K, which means price is really going to need to be around 30K or higher. So until then, we still want to be a little bit cautious. We still do not want to be surprised if we get some dips, some more complex pullbacks, as people might refer to it. But levels of interest on the monthly, right? The previously engulfed candles, one of which is currently our major high or low on the daily. And then this candle also getting engulfed. The low of this giant engulfing candle, also known as a real money candle. You could argue some of these levels back here, right? There's a lot of confluence, a lot of touches or whatever. And then, of course, the current low. So the big thing to worry about if you're trading intraday and stuff like that is this big gap here. At least on the monthly. There's some more levels to look at on the weekly, on the daily, that could help, that might catch a bid. Specifically looking at 20.5K and right under 20K, 19.8 to like 20K. That's going to be two levels that I'm really looking at to hold. But on the monthly, it's really just where we're holding now, 21.5-ish. The monthly 8, but, we're kind of getting back below that. It's also flat. It's not really something that, don't want to be super bullish, bearish above it just because it's so flat. It's not trending. So when it's trending and rising, I feel like it's more likely to catch a bid. Versus its flat line, it's just kind of representing the current trend, which is just, like this. So we won't be too, where is it? We won't be too particular about the monthly 8 right now, but once the 8 is up here, you know, trending above all these bands, once they've all come below it, then we really want to see that catching a bid. Okay. So for now, all we've got on the monthly is 21.5K, 18.5K, 16.5K, and the 15.5K lows. I don't genuinely think we come anywhere near the lows, but at the worst, I could see 18s. You know, I could definitely see that. A lot of people getting antsy up here, myself included at times. But that's pretty much all we got for the monthly. And then, of course, we really want to see price clear this cluster of EMAs up here in the upper 20Ks. Okay? And then only level above that, I guess, would be this previous higher low, right? The one from July 2021. And that's also around 28K. So clearing this general region will be very good and a very positive sign that we're in a long-term uptrend again. Okay. All right, looking into the weekly, things look a little bit more bearish on the weekly. We came all the way up. We can get rid of the bands for now. Came all the way up, retested this local high up here. And so now we look to potentially hold. I think we're holding right now at this level. Okay. And this is our only real market structure shift, right? The lower high here taken out by this one. But, you know, one could definitely argue that this is the lower high that defines current market structure. I guess it depends on how you're defining the trend right now. You know, if you're looking at it like, let's do a line chart, right? I mean, the lower highs are pretty clearly defined. And so you could definitely argue that they're now broken. But depending on how high of a time frame you go, you know, this one starts to become a little bit less relevant. And this one starts to really become the more defining pivot high. That's not what I want. So, you know, up to the individual how you want to determine it. But for me, this is definitely a strong uptrend as long as we're holding 21.5K. Okay. So even if you think this is, you know, the key pivot, this is definitely a minor pivot at least. And so if we get back below the highs of that, things get a little bit mucky. You know, there's a few levels I think that could catch in here. But as soon as you test one level, you could be at the next very quickly with how Bitcoin moves, especially if we get stocks dumping and all that stuff. And crypto's had this weird trend of like not pumping when stocks are pumping, but then stocks nuke and crypto nukes with it. So it's like only correlated on the bad days, which kind of stinks. So if the stock market gets a bad day, I could easily see us losing this pivot. And then looking at EMAs, we're trying to hold the weekly 8 right now, right after basically testing the upper end of the bands as well as, again, this local high. So if we hold here, I could see us, I don't think we actually ran the highs, maybe by a few cents. What was the high here? 212, 270. So we ran the highs by about $50, but I could totally see us going for a, you know, one more move up before dumping if we can hold this weekly 8. I think a lot of people are getting pretty bearish down here at the lows, which could be justified, especially when you look at altcoins. I would say altcoins look a bit worse than Bitcoin does. But I understand it getting kind of bearish here, especially after this kind of tweezer top up into that resistance. But I could certainly see one more move before a bigger flush. But if we lose this 8 EMA, that's kind of nixed, right? And at that point, we're going to have to look at daily levels and our VWAP levels and see where those are at. And also we could look at Fibonacci's. And I think that around 19.2K is the 61.8. So maybe that catches a bid. It just kind of feels like a bit of a guessing game if we break down here. You know, which level is going to have the most demand, right? Which is going to be the one that holds. And I wouldn't really be that confident to punt on the way down if we break down from here. I think you just want to take it slow. You know, maybe let this weekly cycle come down a bit. Maybe that goes into April, right? Maybe wait for momentum to stall down a little bit, retest the 0 line, something like that, early April, I guess. You know, I think March is going to be, even if we hold here, March is probably going to be a very choppy month, right? I wouldn't really expect us to just hold here and then go straight up, but I guess we'll see. Anyways, I think patience is a good move here, especially if you start to zoom in, you're going to see price action lately has just been like this, right? It's really not beneficial to anyone that's not scalping. But let's go into the daily. So again, quarterly was neutral to bearish. Monthly, neutral to bearish. Weekly, I would really just say, yeah, neutral to bearish. I mean, we still have an uptrend. And then the daily, I would say neutral bullish, honestly. If we lose this level, then not so much. Definitely lean more towards bearish. But for now, we're still making higher lows. I mean, our market structure on the daily is still very much intact as long as we make a higher low in front of like 21.5K. But the only issue is we have to escape this little intermediate term downtrend we're in, right? Even if we bounce up here, if we just make another lower high, I mean, at some point this is going to get tested, right? If we can't break out of this. But if we can clear back above 24K-ish and hold, not just wick above it, right, and hold above it, then I think we're looking pretty solid again. You know, you definitely would be looking for some kind of little triangle or something up into the highs for a play. I think trading in here is going to be kind of mucky, right? Just like trading in here has been pretty mucky. But, you know, if you're taking profits on these pushes up, I think it makes sense to add back here on the idea that we will make a higher low. You know, trend is your friend until it's not, so. And we've also got a little bit of hidden bullish diversions. I can't remember where I read it, but I read a rule that after like 14 or 15 candles, divergences aren't as accurate. I don't know how that really stands up in back testing, but, you know, we do see higher low in price right now and a lower low on our momentum indicator. So maybe that's an early sign that people are sellers are getting a little bit antsy down here, starting to short a lot of their favorite assets. So maybe we get a little bounce. I don't know if this will lead to new highs, but like I said, you know, we could have this kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move, run the highs up here, get a really good run at this level. You know, just like back here, we ran this level and we pulled back and we had that like kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a deeper pullback. Maybe we do the same thing here. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas here. I'm not really super confident one way or the other. On the daily, I definitely lean a little bit more bullish because we're holding the bands. But, you know, we've had a good oscillation on the weekly like this, where it's been paying to be a buyer down here, and it's been paying to be a seller up here. And we're looking like this right now. So, you know, we just got to kind of pay attention to that and understand that we're probably not going to get the same kind of volatility again this month. At least that'd be my guess. But, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll just repeat a day like this, and that would be very positive. I guess we'll just have to see. Anyways, I'm not really trading Bitcoin here. I'll definitely try to catch a small bid on the way down if we get a good flush. And I guess we can go ahead and talk about those levels. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and throw up the VWAP. So I've been starting to use and practice with the VWAP more, which is a volume-weighted average of price over a certain period of time. So I use it for weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. And we pay attention to, let's throw up the monthly, for example. I don't like this. Let's do the labels. And essentially, right, my favorite one is looking at a previous time period's levels. Instead of the developing one, like the VWAP for March is going to continue to adjust until March is over. Versus the VWAP for February is already locked in, right? And it's right here. Previous month VWAP. And then on either side of this, we have one standard deviation above it, which is the previous month's value area high, and one standard deviation below it. And this is essentially one big range, right? If you get acceptance above or inside the value area low, you tend to push to value area high, right? If you get acceptance above there, you tend to continue the breakout, okay? If you lose it, right, probably back to the VWAP or value area low. That's the basic idea. I'm still studying it. I'm not really going to talk too much about it, but it does give us a pretty good level, which is the previous quarter's value area high. Again, this was kind of the big range that we sat in the last quarter of 2022. Pardon the crude drawing. Okay, and most trading done around this VWAP, right? So just like I was talking about with this range, if you get outside of it, you tend to expand in the direction that you were going. Just like we did here. We got above previous quarter value area high and we kept pushing. And on the lower time frame, I believe there's actually a really nice retest there too. But anyways, now we do not want to get accepted back into that. Okay, because if we get accepted back below like 19.8, and you know, this is just how no man land go, right? Look, there's a huge gap between all of our levels here and the next level down here. Okay, no man's land. Likewise, if you can't hold in here, there's another big gap all the way back down to 16K. And that's what happens, especially when you just run up like this, right? If you get back into that range, you might just run back down the same way you came up. So ideally, we're going to want to see a hold at essentially 20K. I think the actual level is 19.8-ish, but around 20K, it would line up really well with running stops from here, right? And running stops, people, you know, will get back below this level and they'll start shorting really hard right into this key level. Okay, makes sense to me. And then if we lose that, got to be really cautious, right? We might just be back to this range down here. And on the flip side, and this lines up with our bands confluence too, if we can hold right here and get accepted above the previous month's value area low, there's a good chance we can push back towards the value area high. So acceptance above 22.5K, push towards 24.5K, right? And that's also going to line up where a lot of people that are shorting this big candle are going to have their stops right above the last local high. Okay, this is our current trend. Or people that were shorting this move have likely moved their stops to this level. So I could definitely see a run of that level, low 24K. And if we don't sustain a breakout above that previous month value area high, then we likely just stay ranging and continue to do something like this. You know, some kind of upwards accumulation. Or even worse, we put in a lower high and we do that complex pullback down towards the quarterly level. Okay, but that's something new I'm still learning. So, you know, it's harder to even try to educate and put my thoughts out about it because I'm still in the process of kind of learning and how to trade around it and stuff. But that's what I've been looking at lately. Hopefully each week I'll have a little bit better commentary on it as I'm learning. But I'm definitely taking those levels into consideration because I've looked at them over time and they seem to be respected extremely well. So definitely going to start taking that into consideration more. But it's not completely necessary, right? It still fits the same thesis that I've got from current indicators and price action as well. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. Little summary, right? If we can hold around 21.5 to 22K and get accepted back above 22.5K, then we should get a solid move back up towards 24. 24, 23.7, the same level we've been watching for weeks. That's a pretty defining level, right? If we can get acceptance above 24, 24.5-ish, then maybe we can look to push to new highs and test these stops again. Okay? Anything below 21.5, and I think we're going to get a bigger flush down to this 200, down to that quarterly level I was talking about. And if you can't hold there, I mean, it's, again, a huge gap, basically back down to the lows from the start of the year. Okay? So that's my basic opinion. If you're looking to short, I think there's altcoins that look a lot better on the short side than Bitcoin does. But you could watch for a lower high to develop in here or up at that level I was talking about. Same level that's been run about 50 times in the last month. Look for something that looks weak on the altcoin side. I wish I had a good example. I have not really been looking. Maybe Matic. You know, Matic's kind of starting to lose it on the daily. APT. And my computer is really slow today. APT's losing the bands. You know, you get a bounce up here. I mean, you got pretty good risk reward to the last local high. But to be genuine with you guys, I'm not really looking to take plays like this. I'm happy to hold a little bit of cash and just continue to play the low cap game because a lot of these low caps, yeah, they're going to move with Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin goes down 10%, someone's going to dump their low cap. It's just going to happen. They're really illiquid, so you're going to get a big move down. But the perks of the illiquidity is when things do bottom out, whether it's 21, 20K, 18, or whatever, it doesn't take that much money to move these things back up where they came from. You know, and for me, you know, a bet on a coin at $1.5 million, $2 million market cap is the same bet at $1 million or 750K market cap, right? It's super degen, high risk, high reward. I'm not going to puke it down there the same I'm not going to puke it at $1 million market cap, you know? So I like being involved with those. That's been my go-to for years. Bitcoin trading, not as much my go-to, but like I said, trying to learn trading around these VWAPs and stuff and up in my day trade game. So I'm getting a little bit more involved in that again, but I'm trying to take it slow. I'm trying not to get overzealous in the leverage, because every penny you waste on leverage, you're not flipping 10x on some low cap shitcoin. Basically my attitude. But anyways, that's the place for BTC. Anyone got coins they want to look at? Any high caps? And if not, I'll just go ahead and start looking through my low cap choices. Peep Ethereum. Pretty much the exact same as Bitcoin, almost no difference. We like the low caps. People in here like the low caps, I see. Well, my computer's freezing, so I can't do about anything. My goodness. Yeah, Ethereum, a lot of these high caps, pretty much just the same as Bitcoin. I mean, looks decent on the daily, looks kind of shitty on the rest of the time frames. Like, ugh. No thanks. Alright, well, we'll just go for low caps. I mean, that's definitely what I'm interested in anyways. So, 0x0. I mean, surely everyone watching the stream keeps up with me in some way. So surely everyone in the stream has heard of this. I really don't think I need to give a big spiel. But essentially their tech, I mean, they have a lot of different things they're going to be doing with their tech, but their first big thing was an AI smart contract auditor. So you see your new favorite shitcoin has launched on Uniswap. You want to know if it's a honeypot or the what is it? The deployer has special privileges, or they can change taxes to this whenever they want, you know, whatever. This AI and machine learning and whatnot is going to be getting stronger and stronger over time, so that you can just plug in a smart contract and it'll tell you if there's anything that it sees wrong with it. That alone, I think, is really solid. And now on top of that, they've got a private mixer, right? So you don't want people knowing what you're doing. You know, people are watching your address or whatever, you know, everyone's entitled to privacy, I think. You can mix your coins, and I think it basically splits up, you know, say you send one Ethereum to the mixer, it'll split it up into 100.01 Ethereums, and it'll spread that out over and over and then bring it all together on the address you want, I think. So it makes it a lot harder to track. I think that's how it works. Don't hold me to it, but I'm not an expert on mixers, but that's the idea, right? It's a big privacy thing. So we've got two good narratives there, AI and privacy. In addition to that, it's fully diluted already, $1.4 million market cap, and it's constantly burning. So I think total supply is like 1 billion, but I think it's already down to like 880 million or something like that. So over time, slowly decreasing. They've also got a privacy DEX that they're launching soon, potentially even this week. So you'll be able to trade on, I guess it's like an aggregator of sorts. You can trade on Uniswap or SushiSwap or whatever, but privately, so your transactions are not public. I assume that's what they're talking about when they say privacy DEX. And then on top of that, they just tweeted out today, woof, and a picture of a Shiba Inu dog. So it looks like, especially given they submitted an application to Shibarium a few days ago, that maybe they got accepted or they've got something going on. So now we've got AI narrative, we've got privacy narrative, we've got Shibarium narrative, and a privacy DEX. In addition to all this, 0x0 holders will get a portion of all the fees from the smart contract auditor or the DEX or the mixer or whatever they're going to be doing, all this stuff. You hold 0x0, you get Ethereum, right? You're not getting 0x0. You're not getting diluted by all these rewards. You're just getting ETH earned by the protocol. So actual revenue. So that's the big spiel. I said I wouldn't give a big spiel, but that was still kind of a big spiel. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. And then price-wise, I mean, again, it's 1.5 million. It's 138K liquidity. It is puny, right? Most people on Twitter would be roasting me for talking about this, but I don't really care. You know, I'm buying it. I'm not buying it to dump on people. You know, that's people who know me know that, so I don't feel like I got to explain it. But you got to be aware of what you're getting into, right? Sure, you might make a big 10x, 20x play, but, you know, if this shit nukes and you want to get out, you got to nuke it too, and it's going to hurt. So don't be putting money in that you don't want to get out anytime soon, right? So sure, this could just keep trending. I wouldn't be surprised. Every time someone nukes this, like 20, 30, 40%, it gets bought up before I can even get back to the computer. So I assume someone is accumulating this outside of me. I mean, I got a few buddies that are holding pretty big bags. But at the same time, you know, it wouldn't take 2, 3 whales to send this back down to like this range here. So if you got a small bag, you know, I think it's all right to just be patient and, you know, see if we retest this again. Because it wouldn't take that much. You know, if we get the dump on Bitcoin to 20K, this is probably going to get back below 10,000, you know. But if you're like me, I'm just putting in what I'm willing to lose to 0 anyway. So if it goes down here, if it goes all the way down here, it's all the same to me. I'm pretty much as invested as I want to be. I don't think I'll be adding to this one again. Check XCal. Okay, yeah, we can do XCal after 0x0. Better opportunity than Woo? 0x0? I mean, that's kind of a tricky... It's just a different opportunity. You know, if you get in Woo, you can get out of Woo without much slippage pretty much any time. You know, even Woo's liquidity is nothing great, but, you know, even Woo, you can get in and out whenever you want. This, I mean, look, this guy wanted to get out. Let's go look at what it really was. This guy sold $8,000. Which, again, that's a lot of money, but, you know, $1.5 million project, $8,000 is not really that much for it to nuke price 25%. Right? So, you know, if you threw in a couple $1,000 back here, you know, when I was accumulating this range, I mean, you're already at probably about that, you know, $6,000, $8,000. Look at that. You decide you want to sell, you're selling it down 25%. One other guy on the planet decides he wants to sell his same little bag, he's pushing it down 25%, right? That's not going to happen on Woo. You know, it's going to take a lot more money. At the same time, you know, you're not going to have one person aping Woo and it's going to go up 200%. Like, that's probably not going to happen. That's going to happen with this. So they're just different plays, right? You know, low cap shitcoin is definitely a lot different than, you know, something like a high cap centralized exchange token. But Woo's still a great play. I mean, I haven't looked at Woo trade in a while, but still good tech. I will say the weekly, though, for Woo does not look good at all. I would not be buying this here. Let me say that. I would not be a Woo buyer right now. I'm sure it's back at pi. Yeah, right back at pi. But this looks kind of sketchy to me, to be quite honest. But that's really just because Bitcoin looks sketchy too, you know? I'm curious if it's not too much personal alpha. Absolutely not. How much percent of your portfolio do you usually reserve for shitcoin plays? How much you tend to hold at the time and how long? When I was fully allocated in the bull run, I mean, try not to have more than like 25%. But at the same time, you know, if I'm in, and now I would say a little bit different, but my situation's a little bit unique. I kind of have my risk a bit higher because I've never really sent back any profits that I cashed out. I'm just kind of working with what I have left over that I didn't cash out. So I'm willing to be a little bit more high risk with this. And then later on this year, you know, maybe once Bitcoin makes a long-term higher low or we're trending above 30K or whatever, as we get closer to the halving, I'm going to start to pump some more USD in. And then I'm going to start to roll back how much of the portfolio I'm willing to risk on shitcoins. But, you know, like 0x0, I had maybe 5 or 6% of the account. But, you know, that was back down here. For me, the thesis that I'm betting on has not really come to fruition. You know, they haven't launched their stuff yet. Most of the catalysts are still on the horizon, right? And it's just, in my opinion, fundamentally cheap. So now the 5 or 6% or whatever is 300, 200, 300% more than that. So just one coin might be, I mean, I can just check real quick exactly how much it is. Like almost 20% of my portfolio, right? In just one coin. But original risk, you know, to zero, only about 4 or 5%. So OG risk for stuff, you know, I try not to risk more than, even now, 15 to 20%. But, you know, open P&L, I mean, it's going to start getting a lot higher than that. You know, I could lose 30, 35%. If all of my shitcoins went to zero, you know, on the same day, it'd be a big hit to what I have now. But overall net worth, it's not that bad, so I can kind of tolerate it better. But if I had a lot more in, I would probably play it a little safer. Maybe like 10% for shitcoins. I feel like 10% for low caps is pretty safe. Some people would say 5. But, you know, I'm kind of degen. So, you know, we're in the bull market, 10, maybe even 15%. I like to go pretty degen with low caps. But in the end, it all comes down to how much you're comfortable risking. And right now, I'm okay risking what I've got in it. So, you know, we're going to keep it that way. But hopefully that answers your question. How many do you tend to hold at a time? I mean, I try not to hold more than like 10, to be honest. I used to go for like 20 or 30, but it just becomes too much to manage. And most of the time, they just move together anyways. At least when things get bad, you know, and a lot easier to exit 5 or 10 coins than 20 or 30, especially with Uniswap fees going up 30, 50 bucks. I mean, it's almost just not worth to hold more. But some people like to do, you know, put 1%, you know, take 1%, split it up into 5 times, and then put that into 5 bags, and take another percent of your account, split it up, put it into another 5 bags. I mean, just depends on what you like to do. I've kind of more preferred going like pretty hard in 3 or 4, and then going kind of medium in 3 or 4, and then kind of just like 3 or 4 that I put, you know, 0.5% of the account or something in. Just stuff that I'm like, you know, this could be good, but I'm not sold on it. But something like 0x0, you know, it's not that common. You find an opportunity like this, at least in my opinion. So, you know, I like to really commit when I find something that I like that, versus, you know, oh, 0x0 looks sick, I'm just going to put in 0.5% like I do every other low cap. Well, then if it's actually a banger, you know, I'm not really going to come out with that crazy of a gain, you know, compared to how far it goes. Does that make sense? I don't know. It makes sense when I say it in my head. I'm not sure if when it comes out it makes the same sense, but anyways, right now, probably like 20, 25%. As far as OG risk goes. But some of this stuff I would just get rid of if I had an emergency or something. But I just don't feel like I'm at that point, you know, at any point. Even if I lost everything that I have in crypto right now, I don't feel like I'm at a point where I'd have to do that. But yeah, I guess I won't speak much more on 0x0. I mean, kind of gave the spiel. If we get a good dump on Bitcoin, I think it's totally worth adding if we get back in this range. I mean, this is, in my opinion, you know, not financial advice, but in my opinion, it's free money. Will it definitely go up next week, next month? I wouldn't say that. You know, it might take a while to turn into. I think I had, oh no, did I get rid of it? Did I delete? I had a good path going here. See if I can find it. I think I deleted it. Oh well. My essential path I'm looking at for this is something like this, you know. And then a big move up, you know. And I've drawn that to happen in March, but you know, this could also be a much slower. Okay, that obviously does not going to go to 0 probably, but it could take a lot longer for this to play out. But that's my essential thesis, you know. I think there's a decent chance we just keep chopping here and then rip. I think there's just as much of a chance that Bitcoin nukes, 1 or 2 whales decide to get out of this, and it goes back to the lows. I think those are pretty equal. Pretty equal. Oh my gosh. Oh, why is it so hard to find a word sometimes? Pretty equal likelihood of those things happening. Good Lord. Yeah. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. What percent of net worth is in crypto, including stables? Also have to consider, I've had the opportunity to get into quite a large amount of essentially VC deals. You know, I know people that start their own projects. I want to get a little piece. Happy to support them. Maybe it benefits me. They're like, hey man, but you probably won't get tokens for a couple of years. Whatever. To me, that means I can throw the ball on my liquid stuff. If all this shit goes to zero, say I get super unlucky, everything I hold goes to zero. Oh, hold on, my cat's gonna puke. Please not on the clothes. Please not on the clothes. You're okay, buddy. You're okay, buddy. Sorry, folks. Sometimes it happens. Oh gosh, you're not choking anybody. Come on. Yeah. Nice job, buddy. Well, allow me a brief moment, friends, to clean this up. You okay, pal? I know, that was scary. I think you're okay. But, sorry about that. Anyways, percent of my net worth in crypto. Oh, yeah, I was saying that, I've got a lot of essentially locked up investments. I'll get tokens later this year, end of 2024. Some stuff I'm not even getting until 2025. So if I was to screw myself completely on the stuff I actually have liquid, my stables, my low caps, my centralized exchange coins, all that stuff, I still have ways of making money in the long term. So if we're going to include those, I mean, shoot, I have to really think about it. Not a crazy amount, honestly. Give me 30 seconds here. I can probably figure it out. Let's not include pre-sales because those could all be flops, honestly. A lot of them just went to zero, but let's see. Maybe like, I don't know, 15%? 20? Something like that, I imagine. And then if you include the investments I've made into startups, essentially, then maybe more like 35. So, I mean, still significant, right? Would still definitely have me shit myself a little bit if it all went to zero. But, I've still not sent money back that I sent to the bank solely because originally it was, I was going to start sending stuff back when we got back above the monthly 8. But, oh, I thought he was puking again. But, it's just kind of not looking as great as I was hoping that would. And I'm okay to just be a little bit more cautious with stuff I've already cashed out and then be a little bit more risky with the stuff that I still have here. Because then I get to go degen. I still have a ton of opportunity to make, I could make enough that I don't even care to send money from the bank. And at the same time, if I just screw myself, I get too degen or the market just goes, full on black swan again or regulation hit or whatever it might be, I'm not really still screwed, right? So it fits for me. For everyone, it's not going to work, but, it fits really well for me. Damn, I'm honestly surprised that GCR would have 30%. And yeah, definitely changes in the bull. I mean, it's for me, it's different every bull because 2017, my first bull, I mean, I just put in everything I had basically. I was I'm not gonna say I was broke, but I was a college student, didn't really have money to put into this, right? Mainly paying rent, buying weed, buying food, and that was about it. But, so back then it was 100% all the time. And then through the bear market, pretty much 100% all the time because I didn't really have the best understanding of what I was doing and didn't really cash that much out on the way up. Cashed out enough to be happy, but, 100% that run. And then next run, I mean, kind of the same. I'd say more like maybe like 80%, right? Because I bought some stuff kind of early on, right? Like I bought a car in here somewhere, so I didn't make any money on the rest of this. So for most of it, I'd say like 80%, 70%. This time, I think that this time, the stuff I have in just now, without even adding more back, I think that'll make my current net worth look pretty small as a whole. So eventually, I think what I have in now, the 20% or whatever, or 25 or 15, I can't remember, that will probably become like 60, 70% of my net worth. That's what I'm looking for, at least. But let's say we do something like either this and then pullbacks or accumulation, whatever, or we do something like this and we stall out. Going into Bitcoin halving next year, if I have not grown my account enough to a point where I feel like this is enough risk, I don't feel comfortable risking more, then I'll send some back. But if I have enough, then I probably won't. I won't up my percent of net worth, from the bank. If my net worth goes up because of crypto, then, the percent will change, but that's about it. Damn, you think GCR is a billionaire? Is that confirmed? Dang. Imagine making $1 billion, you're still on Twitter, dude. If I had $1 billion, would I still be on Twitter? Yeah, probably. 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 Oh yeah, but Mom was saying, currently figuring out if I want to centralize my long-term holding. Well, good luck, sir. I wish I had some advice on that, but that's really up to you in the end. I've gone for less positions, but less positions for some people means going from 5 to 2. For me, it was 20 to 30 down to like 10, so it just depends on your conviction too. Like I like to put a decent amount of money in stuff I have a lot of conviction in. And then if it gets wrecked, I just suck it up and that's how it goes. But some people should not put more than like 1% in this, 1% in that for sure, because some people cannot handle losing that. And it's also just, if you have 100% net worth in crypto, I would not be putting 30% in shitcoins. Unless you're like, again, me in 2017, DJing college student, why not? My thesis back then was basically go balls to the walls. If I get wrecked, I just go to work. If I don't do crypto, I go to work. If I do crypto and get wrecked, I still go to work. Okay, so might as well go balls to the walls. But it's not quite the case anymore, right? You got people that you gotta take care of and stuff like that. Can't be as DJ anymore. Obviously, people with a family with kids cannot be doing something like this. But if I was still a college student, I would be a 100% in shitcoins. I would not touch Bitcoin, Ethereum, none of that. I would just be in shitcoins and looking to flip. Thoughts on Woo? Let's check out Woo. Let's do a little top down. Monthly does not look stellar, but if we continue to hold the 8 EMA, if we can close back above like 20, 21 cents right around there by the end of the month, it still looks okay. If not, this is starting to look like potentially just another big lower high in this downtrend. And on the weekly, pretty much the same deal. I mean, it looks very similar to Bitcoin. I'd argue even a little bit worse, though. There's an intermediate term downtrend in here that I would not touch this until it escapes out of that. If you were buying these dips and whatnot and you just want to hold some, I totally get that. I mean, it makes sense. But, I wouldn't be open a leverage position on this or anything. Wait for the weekly cycle to reset. Wait for momentum to have an uptick on the weekly or at least the daily. And just give this time, I would give this trend time to resolve, right? If you start to get back above 22, right, you get a new trend, maybe then you can start bid the higher lows. But I would definitely be cautious after breaking the bands here. As a project, fundamentally, I still think it's a very good project. I think this should be up there in the billions of dollar market cap. Currently number 1 on Binance. Well, damn. 130 mil since FTX. What a badass. That sounds kind of stressful, low key. 30% ROI. Look at you. Look at you snooping on this guy with the public info. Love to see it. Yeah, that guy's a legend. So he's got 30% in. I mean, you're not more degen than him if you've got less than 30%. So that's a good sign. Yeah, no, but then you got the people like Kobe and like him. I mean, Alex Weiss ran up well over $100 million. He was still going crazy on crypto Twitter. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't have said I'd be on Twitter after making a few $1 million, but still was on Twitter, right? You know, hit 8 figures, still was on Twitter, went back below 8 figures, still was on Twitter. So when does that change? 10 million, 20, 50, 100, 200, 500? I don't know. I like Twitter, right? Maybe he just likes Twitter. You think so? Well, probably. I mean, he's good at aping up only. I'm not that good at aping up only. I mean, I hate aping things that are already up. Oh my gosh, it's such a flaw because, you know, if something's 5 cents and it goes to 10 cents, but it's gonna go to $1, it would suck to not buy it at 10 cents just because, oh, I wanted to buy it at 5 cents, you know. But Alex Weiss doesn't care. So yeah, I bet he does make a comeback. But anyways, back to the low caps. Again, 0x0 spiel, you guys got it. It's super cheap, it's super low liquidity, it's super high risk, but it also seems like a super good project. So I went kind of balls to the walls with this. Put in like 5%, still holding the full bag, and I added some more. MPG, another one, kind of similar to 0x0 in that bought some over here, bought some more in here. I can't remember if I bought more down here. And I bought some more in here. I just keep adding. I mean, it's 1.5 mil. The same team behind this built out Amplify, which ran to like 30 million in a bear market. So I could easily see this getting to at least $10 million. The PA looks pretty good. But just like 0x0, liquidity is shit. All it takes is 2, 3 whales, and we're back down here. Okay, so I don't have anything in this that I don't want to have. You know, if I feel like I need the money next month, I would not put it in MPG. You know, I put it in Woo Trade. Well, not really, but, you know, I put it in a high cap if I had to be in something. But project as a whole, I think, looks really good. Clearly, there's interest from the buyers. The sister project, Igloo, is half the market cap, but has pretty much the same liquidity. And I think is the governance token of this platform. I think it's some kind of yield platform. I looked into it when I first bought it, but I can't keep up. There's just so many projects to keep up with. I can't remember exactly what this one did, but it's a solid project. I like the team behind it. Price action looks good. It was cheap. That was enough for me. Igloo, same thing. I wasn't sure which one was going to go harder, MPG or Igloo, so I simply bought both of them. And then we've got the Ordinal projects. How do I find these tokens? Bringing it back to Twitter. I mean, not always, but a lot of times it's Twitter or someone that I have met through Twitter over the years. You know, I'll get a buddy on Discord messaging me, yo, you seen this? No. What is it? All right. That's how I found 0x0. I didn't find this on CoinGecko. My boy hit me up somewhere in here and was like, yo, you seen 0x0 and Very Banking? My boy Ryan. And I was like, no. And I bought some. Same as Ord, found it on Twitter. OBTC, found it through a Telegram because of Ord. GMX, I don't remember who I heard from. I think I heard this from Messi on Twitter. Revest, found out about that a long time ago on Twitter. Right? Pixia, just found out about it in a Telegram group. Like, social media, dudes, that's where I'm finding it. It used to be in, 2018, 2019, 2020, just deep dive on CoinGecko, man. And that still can work. But in my experience, the connections is where it's been, right? Being in groups with people that are deep diving on this shit. They're watching every Uniswap listing, right? When I feel like I want to be more DJ and I plan to be here at every stream. Dude, yeah, I see coins you guys miss, and also another way that I find out about these coins is through stream, right? I've had, I mean, at least 10 coins over the last year. Well, at least 5 that someone on stream has recommended, and I've bought it and made money. 10 that has been recommended to me on stream I haven't bought and has gone up massively. I mean, you guys as well are showing me shit that I've never seen that looks sick, you know? And I feel like I see a lot of coins, man. I see a lot of coins, a lot of tickers, so many projects I see. And then every day there's like 10 more I've never seen, 100 more, 1,000, honestly. Like, and they're not all shit. Like, some of them are really good. And it's just impossible to keep up these days, dude. Yeah, I mean, if you're not leveraged on FTT, what are you doing? Everyone should have a little. Is it still on Binance? You can still trade this on Binance? Damn. Man, should have just been head short on this, dude, ever since this. Just sell every bounce. Just sell every bounce. I mean, it's got to go to 0, right? Labs. Maybe someone, I feel like someone might have mentioned that to me recently. It's on KuCoin. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it looks right about like the rest of the market. Tokenized property titles. Property investment. Oh, it's been around a while. Oh, shit. Well. Huh. I don't know. The only thing about the older projects is there's a lot of overhead resistance. That's why I kind of like to ape the new stuff, because there's no one above me from previous market that's trying to get out at their break even or something. There's no one. It's just all this new stuff, right? Like, this is the only one is really Revest that has been around for, over a year. So when you get stuff like this, I mean, what does look good is the lower time frame, right? Like, this looks good, but so did that. I'm sure this looked good on lower time frame. I'm sure this looked good on lower time frame, and this. You got to get out of this trend of lower highs, and that's not really going to happen until you're, 200% above here. So, if you like the idea, you could be a nibbler, right? Taking smaller trades on the 4-hour, especially as long as these little mini uptrends continue. You can just be in the higher lows. If you start to lose some of these higher lows, step to the sideline. And then once you really start to get higher lows above, 32,000 or whatever, then maybe you can start putting in some real size. Or, I don't know the market cap of this, but that's another reason I really like these low caps, because I don't got to wait for it to get at a valuation I like. It's already at a valuation I like, so I can just ape and wait. Versus this, this could puke 50% and still be $50 million market cap. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could look it up. Ooh, it looks cheap. $2 million. Hey now. Well then, that's kind of nice, because then you can ape some of this price, basically a hold to 0. Either it's successful someday or it stays at 0 forever. And then, 200% on this is not a big deal. It's $6 million market cap. So you can wait till then, put some size on if you start to get out of this nasty long-term downtrend. This is the current trend, right? If you start to escape that and make higher lows out here, then you can maybe put on some size with a little bit better risk reward. And then you buy some here so that your risk reward is 0, is $2 million market cap. But not to say I'm advocating for the project. I think the idea is cool. I think it's a cool idea. But I don't really know much about it. All right. Up next on my list, you guys keep plugging stuff in the chat you want. I'm happy to look at anything. Ordinals projects, basically led by Stacks, which I will say Stacks looks kind of not great on lower time frames. Got a weekly cycle high. Momentum's at a pretty big extreme up here. This might be it for this one for a little bit. The monthly looks extremely good. Very positive, right? This was your big major downtrend, and now you've broken out of it. one could argue if it fails completely as a project, right? You know, you could do this, make a lower high, keep going lower. So that's like the worst case scenario. But best case, Ordinals catch on big time. And not just Ordinals, but DeFi for Bitcoin. You know, doing things on Bitcoin that's not really been done that much before. If that takes hold, then I think you want at least one project in your portfolio that has something to do with Bitcoin. That's not just Bitcoin. You know, whether it's Stacks, whether it's Ord, whether it's OBTC or OFI or Oichi or whatever, you know, something that has something to do with that. Because if that narrative goes hard and these aren't scams, they're all going to go relatively hard. Some are going to go harder than the others. At least one is going to be a giga runner that goes crazy. And then, you know, Stacks is going to lead and be very strong most likely too. So, you know, I think this is definitely a trend, a narrative, if you will, to be a part of. For now, Stacks looks kind of iffy on the 4 hour, I must say. But it is still making higher lows. You know, we've broken down from the bands, so now we're in no man's land. I definitely would like, if, you know, I want to build a position in this, I'd much rather build it down here, right? Into the 200 on the 4 hour, kind of like this. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to come all the way down, right? It can just go sideways while the 200 catches up. And that's what happened last time. So, you know, this could catch up to here. Price could bounce, do some of this, hit the 200, and then go. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go to 50 cents. But I like that better than just aping in no man's land here because it could be a higher low, right? But if you start to escape this, you know, if you start to escape this little downtrend that it's in right now, if you get a close back above the 8 on the daily, then this looks pretty good. But anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about it. I don't own any Stacks, but it's kind of the leader for the narrative that I'm partaking in with Ordinals and Ordinal BTC. Right, so Ordinal BTC, $1.1 million market cap. Better liquidity than Ordinal or than Ordinals. Ordinals has the same liquidity, but at $4 million market cap versus $1 million. And Ordinal BTC is already live, as far as I know. I haven't checked out the marketplace, but I believe it's live and running and not having problems. So that's a plus. But I think I like the Ordinals team more. I think they're a bit more professional, and they're kind of just doing their thing. You know, they're building it out. They want to make sure it's done right. They're building an actual company behind this, not just, oh, we want to be anonymous forever. You know, they're building a legit company, and they want to get everything audited. You know, they're trying to do it the right way. So I think this one's going to have a really good run someday. At least $10 million market cap, probably upwards of 20, 50, potentially even 100, if their NFT marketplace is successful on Bitcoin. So really happy with how this one turned out. Again, you know, should have taken profits at $10 million. Yeah, I mean, I sold like 10% or something, so that was nice. Maybe should have sold like 25%, but at the same time, it didn't reach where I thought it was going to go. So I'm not getting rid of it. You know, that's kind of how I play the low caps. Take a little bit off on the moves up, but the bulk of it, I'm waiting for this narrative to really come to fruition. So that's why I'm holding Ordinals and Ordinal BTC. GMX, I don't hold any of this liquid, but I've got a pretty fat stack of escrow GMX locked up, so I consider myself a holder, you know. And I was talking on stream about getting long in the 40s. Never actually did it, but, you know, still making profits off the increase from that. Still think this looks really good, but it's got a, let's look at this one actually on Binance. Actually, it looks really solid here on the daily, if and only if it continues to hold around 65. Okay, any lower than this and looks kind of wrecked. But way that I would play this right now, ooh, nice hold at pi. Really nice hold at pi. Want to see at least a break above bearish 4-hour trend, and ideally a market structure break above like 80-ish. Outside of that, this is kind of the overarching trend right now, and we could still make a lower high and roll over. So would be a little bit cautious until then, but one of the best projects on Arbitrum. GMX at 41, nice, dude, perfect. Really solid buy. Basically the Pico low back here. And then I've got a big Revest bag. I think another narrative that's going to be pretty popular, especially as we get closer to this big Ethereum upgrade or whatever, is the liquid staking derivatives, right? And Revest has got something cool they announced. I think it's called Resonance, where you can get future yield immediately or something like that, and you can trade around the title to yield. It's like what is it? Isn't that what an annuity is? I think that's what they're doing here, like annuities on blockchain. Maybe I'm getting it mixed up with something else, but I think that's what it is. Regardless, I think it's worth way more than $4 million market cap. At least like 15 to 20. And I could easily see it being worth upwards of 40 in a good bull market. But my game plan for this one, 15, 20 cents. I'll look to TP probably half. And then I'll try to trail out the rest with higher lows as long as it goes. Excuse me. And then the last low cap, I've got a couple other really small bags that I haven't mentioned, but I don't think I'm going to look at those. They're really degen, probably go to 0. The other one is Pixia AI, something like that. They've got a really cool dApp that's supposed to be launching pretty soon, or maybe it already launched. I'm not sure. It's one of those AI like generation projects. I don't know about the longevity of it, but it seems cool. Worth more than $5 million, and more than that, I really bought this one because the chart looked good. It's AI narrative, yes, and I think AI narrative is going to keep going strong, but really, I've already got it drawn. I like that it broke out of this downtrend and gave me a really nice pullback to enter on. So I bought right down here. This is probably me, this candle here. So some pretty nice gains on that one so far, 50 to 75%, something like that. But I'm really not looking to touch this yet. I'll probably TP some new highs. I'm not super attached narrative-wise to this one, or, I've got this big bag of 0x0 that's also AI narrative, and I'm super confident in the fundamentals of this one. So I'm going to hold this one into new highs because it's $2 million market cap. But Pixia will be $10 million at new highs, and I'm not super sold on it being worth more than $10 or $20 million. So probably TP half into the new highs, and then keep TPing half on every double for this one. Just play it nice and simple. Don't have that much in it, but, I think it's going to be a good runner. And that pretty much wraps it up for me. I'm feeling really good about most of these low caps and not really stressed about if we pull back to 20K on BTC, if we pull back to 18K. If we do it, fine. I'm going to assume that into halving next year for Bitcoin, that we're going to get a good run. Whether that's from 20K, 18, or 15, I don't really care. I think these projects are going to succeed in the long term anyway, so I'm happy to hold on to them as long as they don't rug, If they end up being scams, not much you can do about that, but I think these look pretty promising so far, so that's my major bet right now. You alright over there, buddy? You're kind of freaking me out a little bit. But anyways, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I did tell my girlfriend I would try not to stream longer than an hour. But I appreciate you guys all tuning in, throwing comments in the chat. If you have any more questions, feel free to throw them in any channel in Blockcircle. I'll be happy to address them, whenever I can. And yeah, trade safe. Be smart. Don't take forced trades. Let the trades come to you. And I'll catch you guys in the next stream.